Welcome everyone to a Journey of Riches, the interview series with the authors. I'm joined with Catalina Galeano. She's a transformational coach, and we collaborated on a book just recently. It's now a #1 international bestseller, A Journey of Riches, Unlock Your Hidden Potential. And it's so awesome to be chatting with you today, Catalina.
Thank you so much, John. It's my absolute pleasure, and honor to be here with you and experience this
Yeah.
amazing ride of writing a book together.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and I know I think we connected. I invited you actually June last year, June or July last year,
Yeah,
and
approximately. Mhm.
yeah, and so I mean, amazing chapter. It's the first chapter in the book, and what do you hope readers glean from your chapter?
Mm. So, to give you a little bit of background, I feel like
Sure.
this chapter was really um, an initiation, like remembrance, and definitely a transmission, So, um, what I hope my readers will get from it is a deep dive to themselves, an opportunity to come back home, an opportunity to connect to their truest essence and connect with that divine fire that has been within us, always waiting very patiently to be reclaimed, to be remembered, to be reawakened. Oftentimes we let the world define who we are, but in reality it is our responsibility as the architects of our lives, to really determine who we are, besides all the roles and false identities, like all the egoic personalities that we take over time. It's important to really come back to that essence, that that's where all the unlimited possibilities reside, right? Our unlimited potential, right? Which is our authentic truth, and whatever that means for each one of us, because it's very unique. It's our own blue code, to
Mhm.
say the least. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And how do you help people to find this? Like, is there a way, or is there multiple ways of unlocking our hidden potential?
Honestly, I believe that it's always a process, and a very unique process, of
Yeah,
exploration. And
yeah.
in my own journey, I feel like divine spirit always finds a way to teach us, even
Uh-huh.
if it goes against our own egoic agenda, right? And
Mhm.
um, for me personally, through the challenges and through the tests of life, I was able to see them as invitations, or as catalysts,
Mhm.
to turn shadows, or to turn pain into the most divine opportunities, for growth and for transformation. Because, let's be real, we don't transform in comfortable spaces. We do transform, when things get very uncomfortable, and when structures need to be broken. And in that, brokenness, that's when we realize that we have been whole the entire time, but we're
Mhm.
always looking outside of us, something else. There is this deep um, hole, or this deep remembrance, or this deep space within us, that we feel like we are separated from something, from the divine, from another person, and always looking outside for true lasting happiness or fulfillment, when in reality it's always there waiting for us to discover it, right? So when you ask me, if there is a way, no, the way is very unique to to each one of us, through the the opportunity and the vulnerability to really do the work, because it's definitely not something that it happens overnight. It takes um, discipline, it takes dedication, it takes contemplation, because that's how life, happens, through contemplation, through presence, rather than wanting things right now, or doing or going and forcing things. I've personally experienced that the most beautiful unfoldings have happened when I fully let go and surrender. So I actually talk about, that in my chapter as well. There is an art in surrendering and fully being, rather than moving and doing and thinking that by achieving external success, we're gonna fulfill that space within us. But in reality, that space can only be fulfilled through the remembrance of who we are, the remembrance of our essence, which, like I said before, goes beyond all the personality and the identities and the false beliefs of, we hold so dearly. you
Right,
know?
yeah, sure. So are you alluding to or referring to somewhat of like an ego death? That the ego is like a representation of our personality and all the things that aren't really our
Yes,
true essence? Yeah.
kind of. I truly don't believe that ego has to die. The
Uh,
ego is a very fundamental part of who we are and of our development. So trying to
yeah.
erase the ego is not something that will never happen. But it's
Yeah.
more of a, becoming more allowing our essence to fully take control, and allowing the ego to be the passenger seat, or
Uh-huh. Okay.
the passenger, right? And say, what, like, I don't need you to hold me so dearly. Like, I don't have to be protected at all times. Now it's my time to fully dive and experience this life for what it is, not for the layers of what you want me to experience, right? Which are all these different layers of, dynamics of, like family dynamics, cultural dynamics, society dynamics, right? And then over all of this development, we create this personality that it's so set, right? Like when someone asks you, like, who are you? Like the person automatically kind of like, they get triggered, and they actually respond by the career they went to, or like what they do, or what titles they hold. But very few people actually really sit with the question, like, who am I really, beside all these identities. So yeah, I mean, these are identities that we have to hold, or that we have to learn over time. But in order for us to truly connect with our essence, we have to unlearn everything and really, discover what goes beyond all those layers, right? And in that process, we have to determine what we're not, in order for us
Mm.
to get to the, to the bottom of everything. It's just like, I like to compare it to like holistic medicine, right? Holistic medicine, in order for us to go to the root of the problem, we have to peel the layers to go through the center of what we are, right? And so it
Mm.
takes time, and it takes a lot of courage to wanting to, to discover all these spaces that have been completely, you know, forgotten, or places that, they are like blind spots, places that, maybe they are ancestral, that they are not from this lifetime, but, from past generations too, right? Because we hold these memories in our DNA, right? But it really takes, that dedication, um more than discipline, is really like a process of, divine contemplation to, to ourselves, and
Mm.
giving us that opportunity, because definitely it's not going to happen overnight. It takes
Yeah.
time and
Yeah, it's almost like an
cultivation.
embodiment. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. I
It's like a
love that word.
lifestyle.
It's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
embodiment, correct. And
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like, when you go to college and you read all these books and you gather
Mhm.
all this knowledge, and you think that because you
Uh-huh.
read all these books, you're extremely, wise. And there is a difference between wisdom and knowledge,
Mm.
right? Like, yes,
Yeah,
we can acquire knowledge over time, but if we don't
yeah.
experience these things, and if we don't embody them, and if we don't allow them to feel in the body, then they're not experienced, and they cannot be fully integrated.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that integration, and it's not found in our comfort zones, right? That it's
Definitely not. Yeah. And again, that's why, I always invite, my clients to
yes.
be radically honest. Like, do I have the guts to go through this like now? Right? Because there is no right or wrong, and some people might think or might say, what, like, I'm already going through a lot of changes and this is gonna trigger, more. But I'd rather have people, be completely honest and not go through like a deep process of self exploration, and that things start happening, right? Because again, in order for us to get to a place of fulfillment, we have to go through discomfort, and I am completely transparent about that. Like, yeah, I mean, this is definitely not a space where there it's gonna be like all roses in the beginning, because there
Mhm.
might not. But hey, like the sustainable transformation that we get, that to
Yes.
me, it's worth the entire time. And I will do it over and over and over again, because we're shifting all the time, right? Like, our
Mhm.
cells change every 7 days,
Mhm.
Mother Nature changes, the entire, planet changes all the time. So what does that make us, if we don't change also? We are a divine expression of nature, right? And so we are always transforming, always shifting. And when we feel like we are stuck, is because we are not allowing life to come through us, to allow us to change. We are
Mhm.
cyclical beings, right? Like, we go through seasons and we go through ages and we go through all of that. And it's beautiful to simply allow it to take place.
And I totally agree. Allowing it to take place, and as a transformational coach, you ask like really pertinent questions, and you did that throughout your chapter. What are some questions that people can start asking themselves to begin, the move towards transformation and their divine essence?
That's a wonderful question. One of the questions that completely transformed my life was, like, the first one was, who am I, right? And before I even asked that question, I studied a lot the statement of I am, which
Mm,
is like the same sound of the or creation itself, right? The I
mm,
am is not a description. The I
mm,
am is creative energy, right?
mm,
So when we ask ourselves who we are in essence, it's not a noun, it's a verb.
mm,
It's energy in motion, always
mm,
changing and shifting, right? So when we ask this question and we allow to, which we can sit with it, for a few days, trust me, John, there will be answers throughout the night, throughout the day, things that, like those aha moments, right? That's one of the main ones. And then
mm,
after that, I always ask myself, like, what moves my heart? What's something that comes so naturally to me that I can share with the world, and that I can still make a living from it? Because again, oftentimes we go after a career that gives us some kind of financial abundance, and that keeps us safe. But most of these, people that actually find, these careers, they are completely disconnected, through their, from their true genius, from really their authentic truth. And it's again because society measures worth by our external achievements or by our external accomplishments, and we're always seeking that validation, right? And that's why there is that space in our heart where where we get like to our 30s, 40s, or 50s, and it's like, okay, what have I done with my life, right? So rather than waiting this time, it's always extremely valuable to ask, like, what is it that moves my soul? How can I impact the world with my natural essence, with everything that I am? I don't have to become nothing because I am already, right? So by being who I am, how can I just create transformation? Because we do that all the time. We're just simply not aware, right? So that, in our core values, like what are the non-negotiables in my life, and what are the things that I can be flexible about, that I can adapt, because there is also beauty in adaptation, right? But when we have a clear understanding of, our core values, they can determine the navigation, or they can determine our direction. They can become like a compass, in our lives, right? So, and that can be reflected in everything, like our relationships, family relationships, romantic relationships, our career, and everything that we want to create. Are those people, or are these opportunities in alignment with my three core values? Something that they're non-negotiables, something that, they're so dear to my heart that, you know, I can do that, or and it's okay if you say no, but at least you're being honest, right? And that's why it takes, that radical, honesty to yourself, to yeah, to go through these spaces.
Yeah, it's not easy. Radical honesty
No.
and knowing who your core value, knowing what your core values are, what is
Yeah.
your ultimate truth, and that, yeah, non-negotiables, as you say. And
Yeah.
a mutual friend of ours was a client of yours, and she often mentions your name in her social media posts, and how much of a catalyst you have been in her life. And that's
Mm.
Gabriella
Oh,
Gadilio. Yeah.
yes, she's
And she was
such
a
a
Jenny Richards. She's
beautiful
been in two Jenny
soul.
Richards books as well.
I
Two, three,
know, I
three Jenny
know.
Richards books. Yeah.
Yes, the last one she actually wrote it. She actually co-wrote it with another person,
Yes.
correct?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Oh, she's such a beautiful soul, to
Yeah.
work with.
Yes.
A true embodiment of divine feminine.
Yeah. Yes. And her art is amazing. I've met up with her a couple of times when I was working on a documentary in the Gilbert, Arizona area.
Oh,
And
yes.
I met her daughter, a couple of her daughters, and a few of her friends, and she developed this game. You would really like the game, actually. Yeah, they
Yes, the
had
cards, right?
the cards, and you have like this
Yes.
stick and feathers, and it's, yeah, very
Wow.
spiritual, spiritual essence and undertone to it, and it really helps you elicit your values, and that's what made me think when you were talking about core values.
Yes,
Her
yes.
game is, yeah, it's really neat game. So
I'll definitely have to check it out.
yeah, yeah, when you catch up with her,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yes. Cool. Yeah, that's nice because she's like, he's my spiritual coach, and because she went through a lot of different emotional significant events, one after the other, that were really, yeah,
Yeah,
super intense. Yeah,
hardcore. Correct.
yeah,
And those are the most amazing divine people that you want to spend time with, I mean,
yeah,
people that have gone through all of it and that they still
yes.
have the strength, to continue moving forward.
Mhm. And one of the things that because your story. I mean, you have so much depth to your story. Um, how did you become like? Because you didn't go to university to become a transformational coach or to be so embedded in the spiritual world and helping people define, really have a connecting with their true essence.
Yeah.
So, how
So
did
my
you decide
story is,
that? Yeah.
yeah, my story is very particular because, I'm originally from Colombia.
Yeah.
And there is so much ancestral wisdom, in these lands, right? South America, Peru,
Yes.
Colombia,
Yeah.
Ecuador, Brazil, right? And I actually grew up in a very, ordinary home. There was ordinary to me because that's all I knew, but there was so much love in that home. My mom and my dad, they absolutely loved themselves. And I'm the oldest one of four kids. And we had a very
Yeah.
comfortable life in Colombia.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as
In Bogota,
you,
was it the capital?
yes, in Bogota, actually,
Okay.
we are from a small city called Zipaquirá, which
Ah,
is in the northeast of Bogota, like 40 minutes from Bogota. So it's like
okay.
on the outskirts, right? A
Yeah.
very small city, up in the mountains. It's a beautiful city. And that's where I was born and raised, And when I was 17 years old, I was in my second year of college. Something happened, in our family that made us, come to United States. So as you might have heard, in Colombia, the FARC or the guerrillas, they are the revolutionary armed forces in Colombia. They had, their own, ideas and agendas, right? And they pretty much, went after us. They threat us and they were hoping to get money from my father. So he
Mm,
was, through extortion, right? Wanting to get, money, to feed their army and all of that. And usually these kind of extortions in Colombia, they can lead to kidnappings and things like that when the family that is threat, if they don't comply, right? So, with that in mind, my dad was never the kind of person that was gonna, simply comply. He was, like, I'm gonna do anything possible to protect my family and I'm not afraid of you, like just he put it like that out there because he was an entrepreneur actually at the time, but he was a chemical engineer. So everything that we acquired, over his lifetime was through hard work, and they simply wanted to get, money from us just like that. So my father wasn't in agreement with that, and within less than a month we had to leave everything behind. So we had to leave, our lives, like our family, everything, right? And then luckily we did have our USA visa, and we moved to United States, right? We had to leave our country, not because we wanted to, but we were forced to do that. And then that's when, we started here our journey. We actually moved to Massachusetts, to Worcester, Massachusetts, because my father had some, long relatives there. And we
mhm,
started over, with no language, not knowing anyone, like from scratch, because we left everything, back home, properties, everything. And so,
mhm,
having to start over, it's again, to an opportunity to re-innovate, to rediscover who you are, right? And at 17, like it was like that core moment in my life where I was just starting to be in a relationship, and I was just,
yeah.
like getting to go outside and explore the world. And then I was then moved to a place where I didn't know anyone and I didn't even know how to communicate with other human beings. Which is it's one of the most difficult and frustrating things, especially with someone like me, that I overshare, that I'm always, very so outspoken. And without the language, it's like, oh my God, I think that I had like one of those bubbles coming out of my head, without the language.
Right.
But yeah, so it was definitely a journey. And then
Yeah.
what really happened was that 2 years after that, my father was diagnosed with stomach cancer, and in less than 3 or 4 months, we lost him, right? So that was my initiation. That was the that invitation and that catalyst to turn or to alchemize all that pain and all that experience into an opportunity to really connect with that ancestral, voice, right? But it was through a lot of pain. I lost my father at the age of 21, and as the oldest one, I had to be taking care of my siblings and helping my mom, and she completely lost herself in the process. So, going through depression and going through all of these moments that either this process can kill you literally, or you're gonna have to go through like some kind of death and rebirth like the phoenix, right? And that's what I chose to do. Like, I wasn't gonna allow anything to not allow me to experience life to the fullest. And I truly believe that my father left us that, that teaching, to go after what we wanted, right? And even through pain, like, um, and after after the depression and all of that, like, I became extremely passionate about the afterlife and reincarnation. And I started reading a lot, and I learned about Hinduism, and I learned about hypnosis and all of these things, like Reiki and Toltechism. And then one thing led me to another, until in 2012, I was called by plant medicine, and that was just the beginning of a new era for me, of that remembrance, like that true remembrance of what I came here to do, of my soul mission, of these abilities that we all have, that we are just not in tune with because we have forgotten, we are dreaming, just like the Toltecs, refer to, um, that we're always in this dream state, believing, you know, everything that society or the matrix tells us, that that's just reality, but in real, that's not real life, right? So when you are able to experience that, we are all beings that come from source, and because of that, we have all these mystical abilities, right? So when I reconnected with all of that, it was again, a new opportunity for me to re-explore what I wanted to do with my life. And it's been, uh, a transformation to transformation to transformation. And really, like, I used to be in corporate America for the longest time, like I've been in real estate, in venture, working with financial institutions, with private investors, all of that, right? And having a very comfortable life, and really coming to that understanding and asking myself, like, is this what you want to do the rest of your
Yeah.
life? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a great connector, and I create um, wonderful, prosperous relationships. That's just my natural way of being. But do you want to continue um, creating all these connections for that purpose or for something else, right? And then in that radical honesty, I had to come to the realization that, that might continue giving me, money, but it wasn't where my soul was, like my soul was with people to really give them solutions through their most difficult times in life, through moments where they felt like they were losing sight of who they were or what they wanted to do with their lives, or going through divorce, or all these different moments in times where we actually have to sit down and again take or have the enough courage and vulnerability to say, like, I'm done with the life that I have right now, and I don't want to do this anymore. What's next, right? And then that's when I step in, and we co-create, these new ways of doing things without a force, and that's the beauty of, really connecting with our natural gifts and with our natural essence, is that we don't have to force anything in order for us to flow, in order for us to magnetize and manifest the life that we desire, that it is our birthright, to experience, right? So I still do a little bit of everything. I still do lending, mortgage lending, and I also
Mhm.
have my coaching practice, right? And I love working with women. I love, helping them connect with their creative power, with their womb, and that wisdom, right? That, as creative ancestors, like, we have that power, but again, we have forgotten, right? So that, and then I also work with entrepreneurs and business owners to really reconnect with that passion, right? As leaders, they cannot lead from a place of stagnant energy. So if they don't recognize what is it that their why, like why they actually created that business, or what really moves them, they cannot
Mhm.
continue growing their business or go to that 6 or 7 figures, right? So when we connect again with the heart and with what drives, their soul, then, the the consequence of that is making more money, because they are flowing, they are not forcing, they are actually moving with ease, with their
Mhm.
genius, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I'm deeply passionate about. And then neuroscience, right? Like, really, like, going deep in the subconscious mind, and really going through this self-inquiry process, where we are like, okay, so are these beliefs still true to you,
Mhm.
after all these years, after all this work, or are you still just holding to the idea of what was, right? But again, it's really like, going through the subconscious mind, and letting things be for what they were, and really reconnecting to the person that we aspire to become, right? And really embodying these changes, and integrating, these new habits, these new ways of doing things too.
Yeah, so challenging their model of the world, the way they see their reality
Correct.
is shaped
Correct.
through the beliefs that we hold to be true.
Absolutely. Yes.
But if you look at your life when you were 17, what you believed then would be completely different to what you believe now.
Completely, John. I mean, I was raised Catholic. I
Yeah.
went to private school, like Catholic private school, and now I'm like this shamanic practitioner, that everyone will be like, oh my God, what's going on? Yeah,
And
completely
do you,
different.
so was there a big resistance to then, because a lot of plant medicine is grossly misunderstood. It is the medicine that we used before modern medicine. So it's been around forever and a day. And was there a resistance to actually, trying ayahuasca or psilocybin
Oh,
or?
no. That's the beautiful thing about it, is that I was never seeking. They found
Uh-huh.
me, and that's what
That's
we
the best
believe,
way.
right? That once the student is ready to experience these visionary plans, they appear in your reality, right?
Yeah.
So back in 2012, that's when I was presented with the opportunity, and I didn't even know what ayahuasca was. And I mean, Colombia, we actually call it differently. We call it yahe, which is
Yeah.
this yahe, yeah. So it's the same root, but it's a bit different from the one that comes from Peru. So um, I had no idea whatsoever, and then I've always had this deep conviction, or this deep trust, that whatever appears in my reality is for my advancement. So I don't question it ever. I've
Mhm.
always really operated a lot from my intuitive side. So when one of my best friends, he's actually from Colombia, he was the one that presented the opportunity. He said, Cata, why don't we go to a ceremony, it's a shamanic ceremony with this plant that has changed my life? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's go. Like I didn't even I didn't even ask what it was. I didn't, say, okay, let me Google it or let me do some research. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm all about experiencing, that's how I move and how I roll. So yeah, no, when I got there, the medicine was absolutely divine with me, and it gave me the most beautiful welcoming. And I have sat down with grandmother ayahuasca for I don't even know how many times, right? And
Uh-huh.
then she was my initiator. Then I met grandfather peyote, and
Mhm.
then it was a beautiful experience because my heart was so closed after I lost my dad, and I wasn't even aware of that. I thought that I was operating from the heart, but in reality I was operating from my rational mind all the time, just to be in control, to not let be hurt or abandoned, because when someone dies, the subconscious mind doesn't understand that someone died. The subconscious mind feels like you were abandoned or that you were let down, right? So when you are still operating through these filters, your heart, naturally tries to protect itself, right? So through grandfather peyote, I was able to fully open my heart again to life and to love and to the opportunities, right, of presented by life. And after that, I have sat down also with different medicines like the toad or bufo,
Mhm.
which is the molecule of God. That's how they refer to it. It also is DMT, but it's 5 MDO DMT.
Mhm.
So it's definitely
Yes.
much more stronger than ayahuasca. And I
Uh-huh.
actually I worked with a facilitator, and I assisted him through ceremonies. So I also facilitated in a way, right?
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
eventually psilocybin came to my life, and
Mhm.
that's now my dearest plant, which is not a
Uh-huh.
plant, it's a divine organism.
Yeah,
It's
right. It breathes air
absolutely,
like us. Yeah.
it's, like the way that I see them as our elders, as
Mm.
many, many, many elders.
Mhm.
So this is what I have experienced, that, even though they are referred to the niños santos, like the golden children or the sacred children, because they help us connect with our inner child. In my
Mm.
personal experience, um, what I have seen, right, is that they are more my elders than anything else, because like I have my father that he already passed, and the rest of my family is back in Colombia, and all my grandparents are dead, and I truly believe that before we actually created this society that is honestly not sustainable, our
Mhm.
tribes used to have the elders, the oracles of the truth, where we actually will go and ask questions, and they always, had an answer, and they always uh, guided us, because it's so difficult to walk through life when we don't have these elders in our lives, right? So the way that I work with psilocybin is like they are my elders. And every time that I'm navigating through something difficult in life, I sit with them, and they come to me like my ancestors, right? They are always on the front line with me. And that's when I realized that I'm the child of the universe. That yes, I
Mhm.
had a father and a mother as humans, incarnated as humans,
Mhm.
but I am the child of divine mother and divine father, and they are always sustaining us at all times, just like our ancestors, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I call them, and they are always here, with me, with my daughter, at all times, guiding my path. And so that's how I work, with my clients, right? And again, and it's definitely a process, but it's what drives me, John. It's like, oh, it's the essence to my soul for sure.
And
Yes.
is it a pure one-on-one, or do you do retreats, or how can people work
Um,
with you with plant
Correct.
medicine
So
or in general? Yeah.
yes, so I host retreats,
Uh-huh.
and I also host one-on-one ceremonies. Um, I like to have one-on-one ceremonies because I feel like this is a space where there is a lot of self-exploration and
Mhm.
self-discovery, and we tend to hold back when there are more people in the room, right? But when you know that you are in a sacred space just with your facilitator, you're able to go through all these layers of self-discovery without shame or without asking too much, especially when, people are actually sitting with medicine for the first time. They don't know what to expect or how the body is going to show up, right? Because when it comes down to the medicine knows exactly how it's going to move through you. And at some point, the ego needs to, not die, because it doesn't die, but it has to, it has to kind of like calm down in order for you to go through all these processes. And if the person is very seated in a strong will or ego, then and if there are more people around, they're gonna hold tight and they're not gonna let go, right? But in a very private space, it's easier for people to simply just relax and let go and allow these processes to take place, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my retreats are more like for women, and I focus a lot on womb healing. And
Hmm.
why womb healing? Because the womb is the center of creation itself. And again, women have completely disconnected from their cycles, from their, sacred blood, from
Hmm.
all of these things, right? Like in the past, women used to bleed through the moon cycles, right? Now,
Mm.
with the light that we have, which is false light, or like material light that we make it, right?
Mhm.
It's not. So
Mhm.
now we are bleeding, in different moments, like we are not even um,
It's not a
regular
lunar cycle.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Correct. So it,
Mhm.
it takes a lot for women, to go back to those natural rhythms, right? But in order for them to reconnect to that ancestral wisdom, we need to heal the womb. We need to heal the trauma that it's there. And then
Mhm.
from there, we can actually become more clear with our truth, more clear with our path, more clear with the life that we're living, right? And being strong and congruent with the life that we want. It's not like, okay, I went through to ceremony and it's a magical pill and it's gonna heal me and that's it. No, the medicine is going to awaken you and it's gonna give you the message, and it's up to you to take the responsibility to take action and to take, and to transform and integrate.
Was deep there into the transformation. Oh, sorry,
I
just
lost you for a moment.
yeah, yeah. I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah. But
But
you're
go
yeah.
ahead.
So it's yeah. I think you were talking about it needs to be an embodiment, that it's not a quick fix, that it opens
No,
up a doorway.
exactly.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, perfect,
yeah.
perfect.
So yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah. So basically, you're talking about, it opens up a door to a new reality that was maybe a blind spot before, that'll help us align with more of our true selves, our essence, and so life can be more joyful, more abundant, more effortless, and more fulfilling. The
Correct.
more
At the end of the
aligning with our
day,
soul's calling and our true essence. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So what is our
Yeah,
purpose here, and are we living that? And I feel that that question really helped you get out of corporate America and back into, your lineage and maybe ancestry and maybe what you were doing in previous lives, and
lives,
just awaking
exact.
into that shamanic world, that healer that was innate in you, that was covered in this lifetime, this reality, through the conditioning and the parents that you chose, and you broke free of that. So the egg was cracked, and then you're born into a new reality of the life that you're living today.
Absolutely. Oh my God, amen. Yes, you couldn't say it better. Yes, yes, yes.
It's been awesome just listening to you share and the wisdom that you have. And of course, people can dive deep more into that. Do you have a website that people can go to, or?
Yes, absolutely. My website is
Yeah,
soulchingalchemy.com. It's like
no,
soul, but soul ching, because again, we are a verb. We're not, like it's always moving.
yeah,
Soulchingalchemy.com. That's my website. And obviously, my social media, Facebook and Instagram. My name is Kata Intuitive Healer. They
uh-huh.
can I can be found that way through Facebook or Instagram. Mhm.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. And of course, they can read your chapter in the Journey of Riches, Unlock Your Hidden Potential.
Yes. Oh my God,
National
yes.
bestseller in the US, Australia, UK, Canada, Italy. And so,
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. And we've received some, quite and some inspiring reviews that readers have
Mm.
been touched by our collective stories and consciousness that we shared in our chapters.
Amen. Yes. And John, thank you so much for making, this dream come true for all of us because, in the back of our mind, we're always having this desire, to put into words, our story or whatever needs to be channeled, right? And most, oftentimes, there is this resistance or there is this fear of exposing our stories or sharing with the world, certain things. And when you approached me, it was, like the perfect sign and opportunity, that it was ready, that I was ready, that my voice needed to be heard. So I'm so deeply grateful, for the opportunity and for everything else that this opportunity is gonna open up,
Yeah.
to all the unfolding.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been an honor. And I'm really looking forward to what's next. And of course, people can reach out to you on your website. We'll read your chapter. We'll put the links down below. And
Perfect.
I really appreciate you stepping up and sharing your story.
Absolutely, my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for making me part of this amazing journey. And
An
again,
honor.
John, yeah, no, my deeply admiration, you're such an inspiration. Thank you very much.
Yeah, likewise, Catalina. All right, peace out. You
Yeah,
can get these. Yeah. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Catalina.
thank you.
Uh, here we go.